Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm M16. Today we're going to be making a 3D life-size bow and arrow from Minecraft. It's fully functional if you want it to be. If you want it to be fully functional, you're going to be needing some elastic string. And since we're talking materials, you're also going to be needing cardstock, access to some kind of printer, or some kind of device that can, and also some kind of device that can, like, send instructions to a printer. I would recommend for you to get some tape on hand as well as some glue sticks, but regular glue will be fine. Hot glue is also heavily recommended if you want the model to like stay together a lot better. I would also recommend getting an X-Acto knife, though if you have regular scissors, that's fine. Toothpicks are optional, but I would also heavily recommend those. Besides that, I'm just going to be showing you how to do basically each part of the model for only one portion of it. For example, which I'm showing you here, you're going to be basically doing the same kind of cutting style to the rest of the pages of the design, but I'm just showing you how to do it for this page, if that makes sense. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and as always, the link to the actual printout that you can, the link to the template design that you can actually print out yourself is in the description. You're just going to need to download that and print it out. So, without further ado, enjoy the video. Okay, really quick, decide whether or not you want supports for your model. If you do want supports, print the front and back page twice. If you don't worry about it. And then same thing over here with the arrows, except now you're going to be choosing between a 3D arrow or a 2D arrow. If you want 3D, print that page twice. If you want 2D, only need to print it once. For the 3D arrow, I recommend cutting the top and the bottom first, rather than cutting out the arrow and then cutting that slit first. If you're doing the 2D arrow, you don't even need to worry about this part. Next up, decide if you want the bowstring with elastic, or just the elastic. Alright, so next up we're going to be scoring and folding all of the pieces that you have cut out. A side note, depending on what you chose for the bowstring, whether or not to have your cubes, whether you wanted them on the elastic or just by themselves, you may or may not have these here, or you may. Or you may or may not have the 2D arrow, or you may or may not have the 3D arrow. Same thing goes with the extra support pieces. This model is very largely based on personal preference, because there's a lot of different options you can select. So, depending on what you have, I already have this here. If you don't have cubes, don't worry about watching me do them. If you don't have supports, don't matter if you watch me do them or not. Just kind of go ahead and figure it out yourself like that. And then I'm just going to be scoring here first, but you don't have to do that. So, I would recommend it though, because it makes the model look a lot better in the end, especially with all the hot glue kind of streaks that I'm going to be having later on. So. Alright, next up we're going to be gluing the model. Here you can see me gluing the front of the model to one of the support pieces. If you want to do that, go sure. If you don't, then just skip ahead in the video. It's very simple. I'm just gluing one part of the front piece and then attaching the support, and then just repeating that until I'm basically done with gluing it. I'm also going to be doing the same to the back piece in a few seconds here. So that's about it. So for my bow, I'm going to be making a string that is with the cubes and with the elastic. If you are just using elastic, then you don't need to worry about gluing the cubes together. If you are just doing cubes though, with no elastic or no functionality, then you will have to obviously do the cubes. You just won't have to cut them out, which we will be doing later. So what I found to work good is to find on the cube here the front of it where all of the sides are like interconnected into one spot. So if you look here, you can see there's no tab showing here, so this is the face of it, like the front. So then find a corner here like this one here, then flip it over. That one doesn't work. Turn this corner. That one doesn't work. This corner, that corner. This one does work. This is connected like to the paper. This isn't joined by a tab. So diagonal, diagonal. Then what I do is I take a little bit of paper off here, just like that. Can you see that? Okay. Then I stab it in a little bit, and then I just go in a little bit more, like that. Turn it 180. Do the same thing over on this side. Little poke. Bigger one. And then, what I found to work with the elastic here, I put a little bit of glue on the end here, and then I twirled around the elastic around it a bunch, so it kind of gets like really coiled and really stringy kind of over around here. And it gets tangled enough to where it can pass through something like this. If it doesn't make me a liar, it made me a liar, but you can see I did it with this one. Alright, so two things real quick. So, first of all, what I did with this one right here is I dipped it in glue like I did before, then I wrapped it around a bunch of times, then I let the whole thing sit for like 25 minutes, and it went through this entire thing without breaking a single time. Like, even if I try to, like, get rid of it, it's stuck on there really good. So, you don't need to worry about it being stuck on here permanently, because you're just going to cut this anyway, but I just wanted to let you know that's the technique I found, and it works really good. So right now, you can see if I were to stretch this, all of the cubes would start to be pulled apart, and that is actually exactly what we want. So, before you go ahead and tape the sides here, like taping these onto each other, I would recommend you get something like a glue gun with a little bit of glue in it, and on each cube here, glue, let it sit for a few seconds, glue the other side, and then you're going to want to move down the entire length of this for each cube, because it's up to personal preference, but I know for me, I don't want my cubes to start like this one over here is not the same length apart of the other ones as the other ones are, you can kind of see, and they're not like, they don't stay in this rotated form, I guess you could say. So I'm gonna glue mine. If you don't want that if you don't want each cube to stay equidistant apart when the bow line like stretches, then don't worry about it, but I for one do. So go ahead and just glue that, and then I'll be back once I'm done. Alright, so now that I have glued all of this with hot glue, you can see now what I was talking about before, kind of, where most of the cubes here are staying pretty much in the angle orientation that they are. And if I were to stretch this now, well, kind of, but you can kind of see what I was going for there. They mostly stay together except for a few here that I could work on. Actually, most of these, but anyways, next just cut out the ends here. Enough to leave a little bit behind, I would say, like, enough to be kind of like that kind of length maybe. And then over on this side as well. Here we are. And here's that finished bow string. If you just wanted to use the elastic, you'd skip this whole part. So that's it for the bow. Alright, so now that you're done with the arrow, the string, and all that, just an update. I did put a extra support layer on the back side here. If you want to do that, I would recommend it, because otherwise your cardstock, even though it's a lot heavier than regular paper, it's still going to be a little bit on the janky side when you're pulling the bow back. Anyway, so you're going to be getting these side pieces here, and you're going to want to match it up. So I have mine set up to where I'm going to put it on the bottom first, but I can orient it with the top, so I can like correspond each. So this 2, I would recommend start like with this strip here. This 2 pixel wide gray here. The only 2 pixel wide thing on the bow is this place right here. That matches up right here. So you're gonna start here and keep going down the sides of the bow like this, and then you're gonna fold it correspondingly. So for example, I'm going from here, turning at an angle, so that would be a mountain fold, folding it in on itself. I'm going to be turning here, going along this corner. That's going to be a valley fold, like that. Or I guess, no, this would be valley, that would be mountain, sorry. I haven't done origami in a while. So after you're done with that, next strip of paper, you're going to try to find. So I'm looking here, I got 1, 2, 3 corners I needed to turn. So 1, 2, 3 pixels. So that's going to be going here, matching up the colors here. And then you're just going to want to go around that for the whole bow. I would also recommend using hot glue for this. I would normally not, but since this is going to be a functional model, I would recommend having the extra strength that a hot glue can provide. While you can use this like regular glue over here, if you have the glue gun, I would use it. So I'll check back in with you guys when I'm done doing that. Okay, now that you have everything glued together with the hot glue, as you can see, it looks pretty darn good. And even without putting the second layer on top, it is looking pretty strong in my opinion. You can probably do a little bit not too much damage, but you can do a little bit with it. So now that we have the back here, we're gonna take the M16 patented front portion, and we're going to flip it and basically glue everything onto here. So make sure all of these tabs are facing inwards first, and I would recommend doing this in little chunks. So don't glue the whole bow, all the flaps first. Don't glue all of those first, and then try to put everything oriented correctly and everything. Because even though it's gonna look pretty good, it's not gonna be perfect, and you're gonna need to trim some stuff afterwards if you want it to look perfect. So just very, I would recommend going this section here, then going to this section here, this section there, the drill. So go ahead and do that. Check in with you in a little bit.